Hi, I'm Steve Wolf from GovMint.com, and I'd like to thank you for joining us on the Coin Collector's Spotlight. Today we have Jeff Garrett, a noted coin author and expert. Jeff, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Today, one of the reasons that we want Jeff here for this particular episode is I can't think of anyone who's spent more time probably digging through the archives of the Smithsonian Institution and researching the numismatic collection that is the core of the Smithsonian Institution. And there's a very interesting story. I think most Americans, especially coin enthusiasts, know that the Smithsonian holds an amazing numismatic collection. But I think far fewer people know the story that the Smithsonian itself was actually founded based on a gift of some gold sovereign coins from England to the United States. So Jeff, are you willing to share a bit of that story with us and let us know how coins actually founded the Smithsonian?
I'll be happy to. As you mentioned, I spent a lot of time at the Smithsonian over the last few years. I was actually there this week doing a little bit of work, helping them. They have a new exhibit coming up next year, so that's something we've been working on for about 3 or 4 years. So it's pretty exciting, and it's always fun to go to the Smithsonian and see their treasures and all the things they've got. And it's really kind of humbling to think that one of the coin collection has a very tangible link to its origins. And James Smithson was an English wealthy, I guess, I don't know if you call it baron of his day, or was obviously a very rich guy, and he's actually was a very famous scientist as well. He did a lot with minerals. I think there's a mineral called smithsonite. So he's very accomplished and was very much into education. And he died, I think, I'm not sure the exact date, but sometime in the 1830s. And when they read his will, he left all of his money to the United States government to found an institution for the diffusion of knowledge. And well, that's interesting, very interesting. He'd never even been to America, so that's really fascinating.
Wow.
No one really knows why he had an affinity for America, or because 1837 was a pretty young nation still,
Sure.
and guess he saw it had promise, and he wanted to send some money there. And the Smithsonian, they actually didn't get going until around the 1840s, so it took them a while to figure out exactly what diffusion of knowledge meant to do. So I guess they all, through some wisdom, they decided building a museum was a good idea, and that started the collection. But the tangible numismatic link to it is when he died. In those days, you couldn't send a bank wire for the money, so they didn't have zeros and ones and digital money, and they didn't send a check. They actually sent over gold coins. They sent over bags and bags of English gold sovereigns. There are about 600,000 of them, I think, to be exact. And his big quest in the 1830s was around $500,000 US, which was a tremendous amount of money in the 1830s. That's a lot of money. And when they got those in the 1830s, they took them to the U.S. Mint and they melted them into U.S. coinage, and put the money in deposit. But they actually there's two 1838 sovereigns in the Smithsonian collection that legend has it that they came from that. They don't think they have a receipt or anything from those days, but everyone in the museum believes that's where those two coins came from. And it's also interesting. I was just working on a project the other day that mentioned these two coins. They also have an 1838 2.5 and an 1838 $5 gold piece American that are like just pristine, like the day they were made. And in my opinion, those coins are probably saved as an example of the new gold that was made from the sovereigns. So they have two of those coins as a tangible links to that transaction that actually started the Smithsonian's collection, because those coins were actually saved by the U.S. Mint, who had a coin collection at the time. And then in the 1920s, that collection was transferred to the Smithsonian. That's how they ended up there. They didn't just end up in the Smithsonian immediately. They went to the U.S. Mint collection.
Wow.
So it's really a pretty fascinating story. And I think that at different times they've had those coins on exhibit, so you can see those kind of coins next to each other. So it's kind of an interesting story.
Sure. Well, that's fascinating. I mean, so many people have experienced the Smithsonian, the entire institution, all the museums, but if you are a coin collector, I'm sure you've spent time in the numismatic collection. So to find out that there's coins that go all the way back to the very roots, before the roots of the Smithsonian, that's an amazing.
Yeah, it's its total origin. It's the origin of the museum was, and it kind of also is a good illustration about what money was in those days. It wasn't paper, it wasn't a check, it wasn't a bank wire, it was bags of money. So bags of money. So it was funny when the U.S. government was bequeathed them and knew it was coming. They requested newly minted 1838 coins because they didn't want worn out coins that had less weight in them. So they made a specific request for newly minted coins. So they were pretty smart. Good story.
Nice. Well, fantastic. Well, when it comes to the Smithsonian and the coins that are in the collection, we always know you're the guy with the real story. So we'll have you back for future episodes to talk about more fascinating things having to do with the Smithsonian. But thanks very much for visiting with us today on the Coin Collector Spotlight. Thanks again to Jeff for being with us, and we'll see you again on a future episode. Thanks.